Super Dave here with another Super Dave review. This is the Super Dave Special Review. Super Dave here with another exciting action figure review, and this time it's another Beast Kingdom action figure. We looked at the Superman, which he was, okay, but we have DC Comics Darkseid by Beast Kingdom, and just take a look at this imposing fella. Now, I have a Storm Collectibles Darkseid, but this guy got my attention because he looked big, and we're going to see what scale he's at far as, in comparison to some of our other figures. But another reason he got my attention is he looks like the more traditional looking, I would say, more iconic looking Darkseid compared to the one that I have from Storm Collectibles, which is really based upon the Injustice Gods Among Us type look. But this, I love his stony arms and his stony looking face, and then his traditional looking outfit, which is soft goods, which is pretty cool. Kind of harkens back to, almost like your 1/12 scale Mediacom type, figures. But this is Beast Kingdom. This is Darkseid. It says Darkseid on the side, on that side, just some legalese on the bottom. So let's go ahead and break open this Beast Kingdom Darkseid over here in Eternia. That's right. He's going to attack Eternia. He's going to visit Eternia at least, and check him out. And here is DC Comics Darkseid, and let's go ahead and first take a look at his accessories. He first of all comes with 4 sets of hands. You see these balled up fisted hands come out of the package. Then he's got some grappling looking hands, which are huge and intimidating. Then some open glove type hands, and then a set of weapon holding hands here that are open, unlike the set that he's equipped with, so that he can hold things. And then he has 2 head sculpts. He's got this stony face, but if you notice, there's holes in the eyes. Those are not pupils, those are holes, so that you can equip the laser beams, which have tiny little pegs at the end that you can stick in those eyes. And then here you have the regular face. It's the exact same face minus the holes. That's one of my big complaints, is it looks like they would have packed another facial expression in with this, especially with the I can't remember really in all the comics or even in the cartoons that we've seen, did he make any expression when he would shoot the lasers from his eyes? I don't remember. I know he did in the video game, like when we look at our Gods Among Us, Injustice Gods Among Us Storm Collectibles Darkseid, but here you really don't have any other expression. That one and that one. So that's a bummer. But he does come with this cool cape. It's a nice material. It's almost like an umbrella type material, if you will, in texture, which is wired. But just take a look at his stone work. These arms look a little wonky here a little bit to me, but here you just have a really good look of stone in the face and in the arms and the upper part of the legs. And like I said, this is soft goods, so you can see that it goes on up in there until you get to your thigh cut. But I did watch a review of this guy before I got mine, and I did agree with him that I do wish that they had added a little bit more to this. It just looks like a silver ribbon that they just put around his waist almost, with very little thought given to it. But at the same time, and it may be a tad thick, but at the same time, it does look very authentic, very almost future spacey, look to it, kind of like you would get in some of those Darkseid pictures, as you can see there. But overall, I think this is a very good comic accurate Darkseid. So we've looked at his accessories. Let me go ahead and show you those laser eyes plugged in to his face there, his eyes. All right, bringing our Darkseid on in here a little bit closer. You can see again this nice, really authentic looking stonework. Makes him look like he's made of rock for sure. Stone looking face, and you see those eyes, how they have holes in them, kind of making almost like a pupil, if you will. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this one in. There's these tiny little pegs. You just simply plug them into those holes like so. Let's see if it's gonna make me a liar. Oh, it broke. That's what I was afraid of. Oof. Let's see. That's what I was afraid of. Let's try this one then. Thought it was a very flexible plastic. When I was moving it around, it felt like it, I didn't think it was going to break that easy. Ooh, let me try to be careful. I don't think this one's going to go in either. No. Well, it went in a little bit, but it's very flimsy. Very flimsy. Yikes. You twist it a little bit. Only way you're gonna make that work is if you Dremel out the hole a little bigger, because it popped right off. So, you know, right here on camera, you see how that worked. But yeah, if you want to use these, which, you know, you definitely could get some cool photo shots with them, I might have to just use a little tacky and plug that in. Let me try that right quick while we're thinking about it here. Okay, so the tacky didn't work, but I'll tell you what did work. I took a regular thumbtack like this and I poked the holes deep into this side, so the one that I didn't break slides right in perfectly. And then there was enough left, I'll show you here. There was enough left there, and I Dremeled out that eye wide enough, and I'll remove this and just show you. Able to just stick that in that eye and just Dremel it out wide enough so that the part that was left that didn't break can go in, and it's not as thin either, so maybe that ends up working better anyway. And then it will plug right in there, as you can see. And then the one that has the longer piece, because I didn't break it, should have done that to begin with, but didn't think about it. You can just slide it right in there, and now you have your laser eyes. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop off this head. I think go and pop off this head and check something right quick. Oh, it looks like that this cape, yeah, it's glued to this head. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So if you want the cape, you got to use this head. So I guess that's why we have two heads with no change in face. We'll go ahead and pull this one off here. And I forgot to mention in accessories, he does come with a stand from Beast Kingdom. All right, so you can see where our Darkseid's head is here. It's got a hole there. Makes you wonder if they almost considered doing a light up head at some point, but they didn't, did they? I'm gonna go ahead and plug in this head sculpt here. I may have to heat it up. Let's see. Yep, I'm gonna have to heat it up. All right, so after heating it up, it did pop right on there very well. So that looks good, as you can see. So let's go ahead and take a look at our Darkseid's articulation. He's able to look up. Good amount there, pretty good amount. I would say probably about the same amount as Superman, even though Superman should have been able to look up more. He's going to be able to look down all the way. He's going to be able to get some head pivot. What did you say? He'll look side to side, of course. Moving on to this arm, it's going to be able to go full 360. The clothes don't get in the way at all. Let's see what kind of shoulders. You're not going to be able to go up with those shoulders. Interesting. Very interesting the way they did those shoulders. That's as far up as those arms are going to go with those shoulders. Very interesting. Yeah, that's as far up as they're going to go. Nope, I was wrong. They do go up a little bit more. It's got to pull that hinge a little bit further. Just not going to get a T-pose, but you get, about that far out there. And you can bring that back down. Boy, it's tight. Does have a bicep swivel, as you can see. Double jointed elbows, which suffer from the same thing as Superman. They are incredibly ugly. You can even see the big R for right arm underneath there. So that's definitely a complaint that I have with this fella, but it does get good range, as you can see there. All right. Do have the ability to swivel that gauntlet, so that means when you take off the hand part here, he is going to be able to slide that off if you were to want to. Now, I'm going to go ahead and, while we're at it here, and try to see how easy it is to pop on a hand, because we can see that it's a ball joint, which means you're going to be able to get horizontal or vertical hinges out of this guy. So let's see what we can do here. Is it going to be as hard as it was to get the head on? Might have to heat up the hands too, because that peg is moving and you cannot. There we go. It did slide on finally. All right. Trying to see if we could get that pose, that iconic pose. That's as far back as they're going to go. I was trying to see if I could put, almost like put the fist inside of the hand there, kind of. But yeah, you can see how it looks there. He's going to be able to do it, but it definitely, see the gap? Really bad gappage here. Not the best in my opinion. All right, let's go ahead and look at the diaphragm. He's going to be able to crunch forward that much. He's going to be able to basically rear back a little bit. He does have the ability to turn underneath there. He also has a ball joint at the waist, so if you add that, he's going to be able to bend forward a lot. If you add the waist, ball joint at the waist, he's going to be able to bend back a lot. So yeah, definitely good there. Leg-wise, he is going to get pretty much full splits. There is a drop-down method, as you can see here. Huge gap there. Drops down. And he has two types of thigh rotation. This really was overkill because there's thigh rotation built into that nice ball joint, but then they've got another cut there. So they could have done without that, and you can even rotate at the ankles also. Not at the knee though. But this is a separate floating piece, this big piece right here. So you can kind of shift that down and kind of cover up that ball joint more. But it will ride up to the point that you even see the stonework there. But obviously, because of that, I need to get that down a little bit more. It's going to be able to kick up that much, but the knee joint is very hindered because it puts pressure right here on this thing. You can see his calf there really well, But the double jointed knee, if it is a double jointed knee, I'm not even sure, but it will not bend more than that right there. But you know, I mean, Darkseid's not going to have to be doing acrobatics anyway. But you definitely get plenty of range as far as kicking up. He's going to be able to sit, I guess, okay in a throne type situation. We'll have to test that. Just not sure. Maybe the legs are bending enough for him to get a seated pose. We'll have to check that out, because I would like to seat him in some sort of throne. His little skirt's riding up there. And the one that I had in mind was the one that I got on sale from Big Bad Toy Store that Super 7 sold for Lord Zedge. As you can see there, it's got that stone look to it, but it's a little small. So what I was going to do, do something kind of like this, and trying to get it to prop up a little bit here. But what I might do is, once I have that there, put it at the edge like so they'll have more of a place to put his feet. So let's see if that's going to work. All right, so maybe you could, you know, make it work. The back part looks good. It's just that this part here is so narrow for his thick legs to go in, so it kind of makes it look funny here. But you could, you could possibly, I think, fudge it enough so that you could give him a throne, but you may have one that's even bigger or wider, at least in the seat, than this. But yeah, I mean, I think that looks pretty good with him. Looks cool. All right, so finishing the articulation, you're going to be able to see that that foot's going to go down about that far. It's going to go up about that far. It does have excellent rockers, and I showed you how it rotates. That ball joint's going to be able to allow a lot of different things, and you can, like I said, kind of push this knee, shin, boot part down to cover up more of that if you like. And then of course there's also a gigantic clunky toe hinge, which I don't know, those are sometimes unnecessary, especially when they look like that. I don't know, but I will say that it feels like overall all of his joints are pretty loose when it is concerning his lower body, from legs down to his feet. Then the upper body, like the shoulder joints and stuff, seem pretty tight. I don't know, the diaphragm's a little loose. I was going to show you too that you can, when you pinch this, bring back his, you can kind of see his six-pack abs in there. There is the anatomy is there. You can kind of see it and feel it there, and it does show some when you pinch. See, I'm pinching this back there, kind of like they do to women's clothes in the store. They pin them back in the back to give that slimming look. Yeah, he's got the six-pack going on, and the chest and stuff. So he's definitely molded underneath there. I'm not going to take off the clothes. I don't even think you could without messing him up, because again, this is soft goods. You can see the back muscles kind of stretching out back there too. Even some muscle definition through the rock here. But anyway, I think he's pretty cool. But now let's go ahead and do some comparisons. Okay, now, in my opinion, our new Darkseid looks a lot more like Darkseid. But here you have the Storm Collectibles Darkseid, the Alpha, I think that's the Alpha symbol there on the front of it. And it's from the Injustice Gods Among Us, from the video game and the comics, I guess, too. But you can see that he's taller than this Beast Kingdom Darkseid. Now, if I was to extend the legs out with the drop-down method, that almost brings him to the same height. But you can definitely see that even though the Storm Collectibles Darkseid has the bicep swivel, you don't have this ugly gappage like you have here, but the stonework definitely looks better. I especially like the face better, personally. I must say that even though there's some things I don't like about this Darkseid and the gaps, is horrible joints in his elbow and then the gapping at the bicep swivel, I just like the style of this one better, but that's just me personally. That was like, basically when I got this one, it's the only Darkseid that was available on the market, and I like him, but I always felt like he didn't look much like Darkseid as far as what I pictured in my mind. This looks more like him. But let's go ahead and measure him in. I'm going to collapse back down that drop down method and just get a measurement on him right quick. All right, let's see just how tall this fella is from the back of his heel to the top of his head. He is about 9 3/8 basically, whereas Storm Collectibles was right at 9 3/4. And then if you do extend out his drop down method, pull that down, that does give him some height, honestly. Then we could, if you preferred him to be a little taller, that brings him just about at 9 3/4, more at 9 5/8. So a little taller, just a little taller. So you can see there how they measure up together. All right, continue our comparisons. Here's our Beast Kingdom Darkseid next to the Mafex Superman and the CT Superman, the knockoff. And do you know which is which? Which one is the Mafex? And which one is the CT? This is the CT, and this is the Mafex right here. And mine had some really weird joints, especially in the butterfly and the shoulders. And this bicep falls off all the time, completely off the figure. So I actually am a little bit more pleased with the CT. It has tighter joints, even though you can see like the metal little spring pieces down in the joints a little bit. If you look at a certain angle, it shows some of that. But other than that, I actually like the CT better. It even has a softer rubber crotch piece compared to Mafex. So we'll have to see how it compares in a year from now when we get that new Mafex Superman. But as it stands right now, I like the CT one a little bit better because it has tighter joints as far as my figures are concerned. I think the faces look about the same. This is the CT. This is the Mafex. It's a little bit more elongated, maybe a little better on this one. And one of the things that I like too about the CT is we got the smiling head as well. Just a slight little bit of a smile on that head there. But yeah, really cool on the CT version. But there they are next to this Darkseid. So you definitely could have a giant Darkseid next to these dudes. But let's look at some other Superman figures next to Darkseid. And here's our unlicensed, kind of like, I would say kind of hush looking Superman by Chaos Toys. And then our pop marked Hush Superman. And I did a review just recently on this Superman versus the Beast Kingdom Superman, and I really like this one the best still. he's still my favorite, and he's the unlicensed one. Just because of the body style, the face sculpt, and the way the outfit looks. They just did some things here that just make it look kind of weird. Whereas this one, even though it's a real cloth outfit, looks better to me. And the face sculpt. But you can see how they look next to our Darkseid. And here is our Beast Kingdom Superman next to the Beast Kingdom Darkseid. And they look fabulous next to each other. And Darkseid is taller, so that's cool. And then you have Power Girl by McFarlane. I showed in my video of reviewing the Beast Kingdom Superman that the Power Girl is right there with him. I mean, she's tall enough that, you know, they fit and scale together, I think. You know, really just looks, they look good together, I think. They're right at the same height. Females tend to be a little shorter, so that you know, that works. I really like that. And here's Darkseid next to the McFarlane movie, He-Man, and there's of course Crypto as well, and then a cel-shaded McFarlane Superman from the comics. Now those cel-shaded figures like Flash and Batman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman, they came with parts to build a Darkseid, but I wasn't able to get all of them. But I still think this Darkseid, to me, especially having that the real cloth there, looks better. The only thing that might have beat out this one is if the arms were still that rocky look, had the real stone look, but didn't have the gappage that we have in this one. But other than that, I think I really am pleased with this Darkseid over trying to, you know, hunt down figures I don't want. I didn't really want the Batman, and I didn't really want any of the others. Just wanted the Superman that was cel-shaded. So in order to try to build this guy, or either pay an enormous price for him finished and complete on eBay or whatever, but I think this is the one I'd rather have. And here's two more McFarlane Superman figures. Here's the one from like the comic book. He looks really good. And then here is kind of the one out of their vault. The very first one they released, but then they brought it back with a real cape, wired cape. So you can see how they look together here. I think height-wise, again, they look great together. And for some villain comparisons, here's a Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat Sheena in all of her muscular glory, and she's even taller than Darkseid. And then here is Gorgon from the Marvel Legends line of things, a taller figure, and he's not standing all the way. He'd be about the same height. Got him bent over just a little bit in that pose there. I like Gorgon. I like putting all of these, not necessarily Darkseid, but Gorgon and Sheena in with my Masters of the Universe as villains, side villains, because I feel like they fit in with the mythos. Not sure about Darkseid. Maybe he could visit Eternia, because remember DC did have the license with He-Man at one point and Masters of the Universe, and I think He-Man and Superman even fought and maybe even teamed up at some point. I've not read all of that. I've got those in the omnibus of the He-Man omnibus. I think I have the ones that are included with the Superman and all that, but I have to check. But anyway, they look pretty good here. So you can see Darkseid alongside of more of a normal size Marvel Legends figure. Here's Archangel, just recently came out, just to kind of show you he is so much bigger than your typical Marvel Legends. But then also, as far as what we were talking about, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, here is our Mundo He-Man next to Darkseid. And he's like, whoa, who is this and what is he doing here? So there's our Mundo He-Man from the 2000X line, 1/12 scale Mundo He-Man, who is just fabulous. I think he, in my book, gets the 2026 figure of the year, this He-Man, in my opinion. But yeah, looking great next to Darkseid here on Eternia as Darkseid just beams in a piece of the rock from his planet and his throne right on here to Eternia, and He-Man's like, look, fella, you got to go back where you came from. And here is our Darkseid next to Clawful Masterverse, some Masterverse figures, Clawful and our Revolution He-Man with a Hordak MX head sculpt, so you can see how much taller our Darkseid is than even these pretty good size Masterverse figures. Awesome looking Masterverse figures. All right. And thank you so much for joining us for this Super Dave review. It's been fun checking out this Beast Kingdom Darkseid, enemy of Superman, and it was fun to check him out alongside of these other figures. He's looking cool, and I think this will be my definitive Darkseid for my collection. And thank you again for joining us. Be blessed, and we'll see you next time.